Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Psych Talk. Today I will talk about classical conditioning. So, classical conditioning was invented by Ivan Pavlov, a Russian scientist, and he basically discovered it in the early 1900s while studying how dogs salivate when they see food. And if you have taken at least one psychology class, you probably have heard of this before. But basically, this experiment showed that dogs could learn to associate a bell with food and start salivating just by hearing the bell. So, what classical conditioning is showing us is that we can learn through association. And to make you understand better what that means, I will literally explain to you the experiment that Ivan Pavlov did. So, what Ivan Pavlov did, it was first he recorded basically when he presented the food in front of the dog, he will automatically salivate, right? So the food itself is an unconditioned stimulus, and the dog's salivation to the food is an unconditioned response. And we call it unconditioned because it happens automatically, right? When you present the food to the dog automatically salivates. So the food is an unconditioned stimulus, and the salivation to the food is an unconditioned response. The bell, which basically he will start using it before presenting the food, at first is a neutral stimulus because the bell does not mean anything to the dog. And it took him some time for the dog to associate the bell with the food. So what Pavlov did, it was ringing the bell and then presenting the food to the dog. And the dog at first would salivate only when the food was presented. But with time, when the dog heard the bell, the dog would salivate even before the food was presented. So the dog was associating the bell, which before was a neutral stimulus, to the food. So the bell became a conditioned stimulus. So basically, an unconditioned stimulus elicits an unconditioned response. But when a neutral stimulus is paired with an unconditioned stimulus, then that neutral stimulus becomes a conditioned stimulus that will elicit an unconditioned response. I can give you another example. So let's say you're just walking on the street and you see this particular person who is a neutral stimulus because you don't know this person, it's just a random person, right? And out of a sudden, this person just starts like screaming at you, right? Like a crazy person. And you startle, it makes you scared. So that person, it was a natural stimulus, he or she didn't mean anything to you. Then it became a conditioned stimulus because now every time you're going to see that person, let's say that you see that person pretty much every day while you walk to go to work or walk to go somewhere else, and the person always screams at you every time he or she sees you, then your response is going to be to startle. So that screaming to you became a conditioned stimulus, and your startling or feeling fearful became a conditioned response. Well, that was it. Classical conditioning is very simple, very short episode. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you on another episode of Psych Talk.